Hi Echo, thanks for getting this in. Let's have a read through. Okay, so in terms of your area of practice, I think it's much more simple than that. Your area of practice can't be diagnosing the female autism phenotype specifically, because that isn't an area of practice in and of itself. Obviously, adult or, well, just a diagnosis. So your area of practice is autism diagnosis. You can make it specific to adults if you want to. But otherwise your area of practice would be, diagnostic practice. In terms of your specific driver, where have you put your driver? I don't think you have. So we asked you for a driver. Okay, so yes, you have your drivers down here. Sorry, it's underneath. So yeah, DSM-5 is your driver. That's fine. So let me go back to up here. I mean, I'd be tempted, rather than, because it sounds like you've already made up your mind to a certain degree. I would probably be tempted to have your area of practice diagnosis, and then in your instruction identify that you want to focus on female diagnostic criteria. If you believe that that should be different for some reason, I would, in which case it's essentially critiquing DSM-5 in a broader sense. Let me just read what you've put here. Because my argument would be that the DSM-5 criteria are fairly useless, full stop, irrespective of gender. And actually, I think the reason why, or possibly one of the reasons why, females are under-identified is just because of lack of understanding of clinicians about the fact that you can have autistic women, rather than the diagnostic criteria themselves. I'm well aware that the diagnostic criteria were developed, and autism theories often developed around usually young white boys. But those theories themselves are fairly useless anyway. So I think the diagnostic criteria as a whole could be critiqued against a set of gold standards, and then include any specificities you wish around gender. Or if you wanted to do a narrower piece of work, just come up with your gender specific ones around females. Although actually it does make sense just to almost have gold standards for good diagnostic practice, or good diagnostic criteria full stop, because that would include all human beings irrespective of gender. So you could include trans, all sorts in there, which I think would actually make a lot more sense. But I'll leave that up to you to have a think about. So your driver is perfect in terms of DSM-5. I think probably maybe a title would be something along the lines of, well, it's what gold standard, or how could we improve diagnostic criteria to be inclusive of all variants, something along those lines. And then you could go down the road and in your instruction specify whether you want it to be female centric or just broadly better diagnostic criteria. Have a think about that when you're doing your gold standards, because when you're doing your gold standards, if you're keeping it very, very specifically to an autistic feminine phenotype theory, you may end up with very, very short gold standards. So, for example, your gold standard might simply just be for everyone to have an understanding of that particular theory, in which case it makes the whole whole module a bit too narrow. So yeah, have a think about that when it comes to the gold standards. It's probably one of those things that will come clear when you're doing your gold standards. Any questions based on this feedback, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, crack on with the gold standards, and I look forward to reading those. Cheers.